Okay, we're back one more time. Let's try it again, folks. I'm here, Ruth-Ann, live streaming from my gallery in Solana Beach, Art of the City TV. And I'm looking for you, Rick. I'm looking for Rick Allen, amazing artist and performer. All of you folks know who he is. And I'm going to invite him as soon as I see him join the show here. And I've been actually waiting for 2 weeks for this big event. So if I seem a little nervous, I am, of course. You know, it's not every day that you get to meet somebody this talented. So it's pretty exciting for me. But as soon as I see him, I'm going to have him come on to the show. Many of you are here just for him, and I appreciate that. I see lots of my friends, and I'm sure there's a lot of fans coming on today. So these creatives that I represent in the gallery are so amazing, but what's even more amazing is when you see somebody who has transcended the world of music and is now transcending the world of art. It's not very often that you find people that have both of those talents together. So I'm looking here to see once again if I can bring him on. And let me just see if maybe somehow I missed it. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not seeing you, Rick Allen. I'm seeing a lot of people here, though, which is really great. All right. We may just have to reverse this and go the other way and have him invite me to his station here. Yep, I'm not seeing you, Rick. I'm sure you're here, but I'm not seeing you for whatever reason. Let's see. Yes, maybe we're just having a problem with the connection today. I'm seeing lots of people. I'm seeing my good friend Jens, and I'm seeing Allison, but I'm not seeing Rick Allen here. So let's just wait for a minute and can talk a little bit of art while we're waiting. So one of the things that I think has made me want to be in the art world for this long is because that art allows us to transcend things. You seeing him there? Okay, I see him. Yay, there he is. Okay, let me see how I invite him now. Where'd you go, Rick? I should be able to just pick him up right here. All right, I don't know what's happening here with this. And it is not allowing me to, let's see. Let me see if I can do it this way. Trying, guys. This is really frustrating. Did we do it? Maybe. Let's see. I think we did. Oh my God. I'm like sweating bullets over here.
Oh, me too. Me too. No, it got kind of glitchy. I had to reconnect to it.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what? This is, I guess that, you know, the universe is a very funny beast sometimes to bring people together. I know when we first tried to have a conversation, there we were kind of like,
No, I know.
It's passing in the night. Well, welcome, my friend, and good to meet you on screen.
That's right. Yeah, thank you very much. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm doing a lot better now that you're on. I was sweating bullets there, like, whoo, okay, here we are. Because I was so excited anyway to meet you. So what a thrill.
That's cool. Thank you.
And you are live streaming from, where are you out of? Northern California?
I'm in Monterey area.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah.
So let's just start out now that we're, get a little namaste going here. What has it been like for you as a creative without having a venue to be able to get out there and, to start with, play your music?
That's a good question. Myself and Lauren actually did something recently. If nobody knows about my wife, she's a singer-songwriter who's very talented. Anyway, we did a live stream for Palenque Arts for kids' music programs, and we went to a local venue. Everybody had masks on, and everybody was social distancing. And then there was just the myself, Lauren, Dylan Rose, and Tammy Brown on stage, and the crew. They all stayed far away, but there was no audience. It was actually really cool to do. But other than that, I've literally just been practicing like crazy. I've got all this time on my hands, and I figure, when
I think we're losing you. So folks, this is technology for you. Welcome to Instagram. We'll get him back here in just a second. But this is one of the things I think that the COVID has really shown us, is that in this new reality that we're living in, or Facebook Live, we just have to be able to roll with it. So we lost Rick, but we're going to bring him back on in just a second here. I think that we'll be able to get him to join live again. Let me see if I can get him back on. And I really appreciate your guys' patience here, because it is a little bit tricky when you're dealing with this kind of a thing here. So let's see if we can do this one more time. Bring him back, bring him back. It's like at the end of the concert, right? We want him to come back here. So let me see if I can get him to come back. And I'm sure that he will be signing back on here. All right, there we go. All right, let's see if we can get him to come back on. I feel like I need my lighter.
No,
I feel like I need my lighter, Rick.
No, I'm sorry.
At the concert.
No, I know. No, technology, eh? No, so what I was saying is, I've just been practicing a ton, trying to get really good so that when I come back out, when we can play in front of an audience again, I can be better than ever. So.
Well, that's a good use of time. So now, when you are at home, do you split your time between your art and your music, or is it just kind of a natural progression of the day?
I took a break from painting for a little while because it's been pretty intensive. But I just started. I'm just doing a couple of underpaintings at the moment. I really wanted to do some more of the Legends pieces. So a few of the pieces I'm working on, or a few of the people I'm working on at the moment, Johnny Cash,
Right.
Aretha Franklin. I really felt, everybody's done Elvis, but I'd love to do an Elvis. And then I think somebody that I really admired that really changed the music during the 90s was Kurt Cobain.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
exciting.
Yeah, so I'm gonna get busy again, and it's all I've got at the moment is time, So
That's it.
But check this out. This is the first break that Def Leppard have had since 2010.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So, we figure, I guess we've all just got to make the most of it, and kind of, it's a nice time for reflection. It's a great time to spend, with the family.
Right.
And our youngest, she's been at home. She's on break right now, but she was doing all her schoolwork or remotely. So, and she did really well. I was really impressed.
Yeah, so it's been good. I think I agree. I have a 13-year-old, so having everybody at home, I think is it's actually a really good break for us to all have a pause and be able to reassess things. So going back, I mean, you've got fans here. I mean, I went on YouTube. I think I had mentioned I'd seen so many great interviews that you've given over the years, but can you kind of share, because everybody knows, obviously, you're a great music legend. Everybody knows this, but not everybody knows your love of art. And it was interesting when I was talking to you the other day that you actually started with art before you started with music. So maybe you can share a little bit with everyone how that all began and how you're picking it up now and you're continuing with it.
Yeah, really. When I was, sort of really in like first grade, and I really started getting into just paint, and as much paint on on the paper, probably more paint on me. But I just loved it. It was such don't get me wrong when I say this, but it was such a wonderful, mindless sort of activity because I was able to be in the moment and just be creative. And then sort of roundabout, my folks, they were always really big music fans. So, my daddy had a huge music collection. So he introduced me to, Glenn Miller and, I really loved the whole idea of big band at that time. And then I started getting a little more progressive. I got into jazz rock, Billy Cobham. And then my brother, who's like 4.5 years older than me, he started coming home with rock music. So I started listening to, like Deep Purple and Bowie and just all the greats of that time.
Uh-oh, we're losing him again. I was really getting into the story. Let's see if he comes back. If not, we might just have a little fun.
Kind of, yeah. That's when I got into music. My best friend, he got a guitar for Christmas. So the first thing I did was, I went home and asked if I could have a drum kit, but we couldn't really afford it. And maybe a week later, I sat down with my folks again, and they said, well, if you go get lessons and do some local jobs or, wash the cars, help around the house, this, that, and the other, maybe we can get a drum kit on layaway. So probably about.
How old were you then, Rick?
Probably about 10.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's exactly what they did. It was great. I went for lessons. I found this great teacher. He played with Joe Cocker, and he was really good. He got me going, and it was smart that my folks asked me to go for lessons because I didn't lose interest. It wasn't something that I was just gonna, get a drum kit and then, and then forget about it.
Committed.
Yeah, it definitely it inspired me. It was, and then I realized that I had a pretty sort of natural flair for playing drums. And then when our youngest daughter, when we started doing art together and painting, and then I saw in her that again it was that place where she was just in the moment, and I recognized.
Fast forward how many years? So you were playing drums,
Yeah,
and then went and you had the love of art when you were a little kid, And then when did you start to say, hey, wait a minute, how old were you? You had a daughter, you started to realize this, want to cultivate this other creative part of you?
Probably about 8 years ago.
All right.
Yeah, and really started getting back into it. At first, I wasn't really very much into showing people what I was doing because I think part of me was a little afraid, that people were going to criticize,
Sure.
the rock star wanting to be an artist. But my wife, she was really encouraging, and she said, no, you got to show this stuff to people. And I soon got over my fear once I showed people, because the response that I got from them was really positive.
That's great. Do you find that it's different when you're creating music opposed to creating art? Because one is, I've talked to other musicians, it's a group effort. So you're almost, on a team of musicians together creating. And then when you're in your studio, now it's a little bit more of a solo act, because here you are, you're alone and you're creating. And then also the interaction with the audience is different. Instead of a huge crowd, you probably have gone to shows and you meet people one-on-one. What's that like, the contrast between the two?
No, that's a really good question. Yeah, it's I like the collaboration. I like to collaborate musically, and I mean, to a certain degree, my wife Lauren, she'll help me quite a bit, sort of choosing imagery, especially when I'm doing like mixed media pieces. So I do collaborate on a certain level, and then when I'm playing with the band, yeah, people get to see me play live, and a few people may get to meet me, with meet and greets that we do backstage with Def Leppard. But the meeting is always really brief, so you don't really get to talk to people very much. But then with the artwork, when I'm doing the art shows, it's kind of cool, because I get to spend more time with people, and find out a little bit more about them, find out why they bought a particular piece, or why that particular piece spoke to them. And it's cool, because the same people, they keep coming back every time I go around and do the art shows. Now I've got a kind of a following. People,
I bet you do.
yeah, it's great. People that are really just interested, not just interested in the art. Obviously, the music and the art to me goes hand in hand, because if it wasn't for the music, people probably wouldn't know as much about my art as they do.
Sure.
So the fact that I played with Def Leppard definitely helps promote the art, and I'm just happy that people really like it.
Well, I think people have connected. I mean, we grew up with your music. I know I did.
So did I.
Yeah, but I was listening to some of it when I was driving into the gallery, and I'm like, wow, this brings back so many great memories. So I think probably people connect with you on the, growing up and listening to the music. But then what's really cool is coming to an art show and meeting one of your heroes, music heroes, which you are, and then seeing, wow, you're really talented. And you are. I've looked through all of your art, and I mean, it's pretty impressive when you have someone who has that amount of talent.
Wow.
It's exuding from music to art. But on another thought, the fact everybody knows you had this tragic accident when you were young, and you overcame that difficulty, right? How has that affected you with painting? I mean, just with the technical part of with a brush, and I guess the question is overcoming it with the drums first, has it made it easier to take on anything in life, including painting?
It's we chatted the other day, and I think necessity is really the mother of invention, and just like I figured out ways to play drums. There's always a way to figure out doing something new. And as we all know, the internet is a fantastic resource these days, and I see people that are in way worse situations than I am physically, yet they can do things that are just incredible. So it's just taking little pointers from other people. I have a fantastic mentor as well that really helps me to explore new techniques, new painting techniques. So I have a whole host of ways that I can do this or move into a place of improvement. Because every time I do a piece, I learn something new. So
right. No, that's true. And I find it interesting. You said this twice about your time being sequestered because of COVID, that, you're practicing to get better. And I think that's such an incredible statement coming from someone that most people are looking at you and saying, really, is there room to get better?
I think there is, I think anything that any of us embark upon, it's there's always room to get better or play something differently, or I think if I just sat there and sort of just played everything that I know as opposed to trying to push out and improve, then I don't think I'd be as passionate,
I love that. So now you have these two passions. Do you ever see yourself at some point maybe focusing more on the art career? Or do you think that, what is your passion in your heart saying that when you're looking at it as you get older, would you like to
talk about is, the last show of the last tour. It's just something you never talk about. We just kind of keep going on and, and just kind of enjoying where we're at, counting our blessings, and, hopefully, we can keep going. I mean, look at a band like the Stones. I mean, they keep raising the bar every year that they go out, and they're probably 15 or 20 years older than we are.
Right.
So I'm not particularly worried about that. But it does give me another outlet. It definitely gives me another way to express myself, which that's been a huge blessing.
And a huge blessing to other people, because they too are seeing another part of who you are as a person. And like your music, they can take that piece home. And, that's why I've been in the art business for 25 years, is I've seen the impact that art has on people. And now you're bringing that to the world also, which is so cool, in my opinion.
No, I know. No, I mean, just like music can evoke some sort of emotional reaction, we listen to a certain song, and we feel tears rolling down our cheeks, or you listen to a certain piece of music. The first time I listened to Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction, it was like I couldn't play that music quietly. It just had this aggressive thing to it, and it was always like the anthem before you were going out on the town or whatever. So yes, music does that, but the artwork does that just as well. People, I meet people and they get so emotional about, and I'm not sure whether it's because they're meeting me or whether it's the art or a combination of. But but the artwork definitely brings out beautiful emotions in people. It's great.
Yeah, it is. That's why, we have these museums where people, it spans time. And I think that's the thing about when it's all said and done, there's not much left. You have
No.
music, you have art, maybe you have some beautiful architecture, and you have literature. And that's pretty much that's our timestamp right here. This is who we are.
No, you're right, and that's the other thing I'm really into. Like, if you can see kind of a little bit of what's in the background, I love that Northern European sort of really clean architecture, lots of beautiful wood, steel, concrete. You know what I mean?
Beautiful lighting too. I love
Yeah.
how the light radiates through your windows there.
No, it's pretty. So,
Beautiful.
so you're right. I mean, there's many things that that we can be passionate about, and I love I love that people are unique. They have a certain take on something. You remember when I was we were chatting yesterday, and I was saying one of the things that really helped me was when I stopped comparing myself
Yes.
to how I used to be physically, and stopped comparing myself to others, and finally came around to the realization that the way that I play drums, or probably paint, is unique, and what I really needed to do was embrace that. And once I did, it really lifted a weight. It really lifted a weight off of my shoulders, because I realized, I've been given this gift, and I've been given a second chance, and I can do it in a way that not too many other people can do. So, and I think that's true for all of us. I think if you find something you're passionate about, if you do it, you're going to do it different to everybody else, and that's what makes music and art and poetry and dance so beautiful.
And that's what you see in kids. And I like what you're talking about, how your daughter, who was doing this art, inspired you to get back into art, is because kids, they aren't comparing themselves to anyone. They haven't gotten that ego yet.
No,
which is so great.
And it's interesting. The exact same time that we started, my youngest, she's been playing piano now for a couple of years. So, I thought it was just really important for her to pick up an instrument, because music and my instrument have just become a best friend. Whether I used it professionally or not, I don't think it really matters. I think the fact that you can go and disappear into music or art is just such a wonderful thing for any of us to be able to do. So she's actually learning Imagine by John Lennon at the moment. So
that's so great. And it's great that you foster that like your parents did in you.
Yeah, it's important.
It's a good passing of the baton. So let's chat a little bit about, I know you and your wife are involved in so many cool things in giving back. And I know one of the passions that you have is this Wounded Warrior Foundation. And I think there's a name for it.
Oh, yeah. So it started out as Raven Drum Foundation, and then we wanted to focus more on wounded vets. So we started under Raven Drum. We started Project Resiliency, and that was more sharply focused on PTSD. And we did a lot of workshops, equine assisted therapy. If anybody's ever tried that, working with horses, not necessarily riding them, but just working with the horses and feeling their energy. They're so heart based, and the notion a lot of a lot of our warriors, they would go into the ring with the horse and they would want to control the situation, but you just can't. It's almost like you have to go in there and wait for the horse to come to you. You have to soften, and I think that was that's one of the things that I really enjoyed. It really helped with my central nervous system. And then as simple as being out in nature, that's another thing that really helps me manage my PTSD. Meditation, breathing, good diet.
So is this something that you personally experienced after the accident, and is that why you have a connection with these vets that are coming back who have experienced similar maybe injuries or tragedy? Is that where this came from? Okay.
Basically, even though what I experienced, my trauma wasn't combat related. The brain doesn't know that.
Right.
So it could be an abusive relationship. It could be, an alcoholic background. It could be a sports injury. It could be a car accident. It could be, combat related injuries. But all of those things, go towards, extreme trauma, and I think that's what turned on my PTSD was just the sheer trauma of the accident. So when I started meeting up with our wounded warriors, probably around about 2006, when I went to Walter Reed Army Medical, I realized that they spoke the same language as me.
Wow.
And I understood about self-medication. I understood about rage or anger. And I got the notion of all these different triggers, and they're very real. And I've just been very honored to have been able to spend time with some of our warriors, and hopefully I inspire them. And in most cases, I'm really inspired by them. So it's definitely become something that's very dear to my heart.
Well, and how amazing is it that you have come to a place where you're willing to be that transparent? Because, you are a public person and you are very famous, and your willingness, I think, to kind of bear it all really has been, that's probably the thing that has been the most impacting to these people is here you are, you could just, be in your own space, have your own world, doing your own thing, but instead you've chosen to be vulnerable. And I think that speaks so much about who you are.
It's a very powerful place if you can be vulnerable and show up. One of the first things that I would say, we'd introduce ourselves to one another, and we'd go around the circle, and everybody would tell their story. So I'd tell my story of the accident, but I would remind them that what I do when I get on stage with Def Leppard, that's my day job, and it's really special. But when I'm with our warriors, it's a different part of me. I'm prepared to sort of show a different part of myself, and I think they really appreciate it because I build their trust, and they see that I'm not doing this for effect. In fact, while we're meeting in that kind of setting, whether it be backstage at a Def Leppard show or wherever, or doing doing some sort of activity with them,
That's incredible.
But I don't necessarily encourage people to bring cameras or anything like that, because I feel as though it's such a private thing. When people are bearing their souls and they're telling a story about how they got to this place, that to me is really powerful, but it's also very private.
Yeah, absolutely. And connecting with people on that depth. Can I ask you about, and if you don't want to answer, it's fine, because it's something I've always been interested in. Did you ever get phantom pain in your arm? Did you ever feel like it was still there when you first experienced this?
Actually, yes, I do to this day. When I first came round, I could actually feel a physical presence, and other people could as well. I remember my father coming to visit me in the hospital, and I'd been experiencing just this really strange thing with my arm, where you couldn't actually see it, but it was a physical presence.
Right.
So I asked him to reach out and touch me where he thought my arm was, and when he reached out, he reeled back. He was like, "It's there. I can feel it."
Right.
I said, I know, it's really weird. So then I ended up, because I couldn't really control it that well, but I ended up making it so that I could pass my arm through his head, and his hair stood up on end.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. The reason that I asked that is because I recently was talking to one of our elders out at the Indian reservation. I'm Native American, who had lost a part of his leg from diabetes. Diabetes runs in
Yeah.
in Indian country. Unfortunately, it's one of those things.
No, I know.
But he had the phantom pain, and one of the spiritual elders said, because that is actually still part of who you are, and so I was thinking about you because it just randomly came up today, and then I wondered if you had that same sensation.
I absolutely have, and it's very real. There's so much we don't know. We're in this physical world, but there's another world. There's a spiritual world, and I honestly believe that when I went through this experience, I was able to see both very, very clearly, and in a way, it's a blessing that I can still feel. My left arm. In fact, I can move a couple of fingers. Which is weird, but I guess because that part of my brain developed, it still receives or sends out messages. So it's a really interesting phenomenon.
Yeah, it is. I find it really fascinating that our spiritual elders find that it's a spiritual entity that still is part of who we are within this human realm. So I find that
for sure.
this was an interesting question. So what are you, you have one child or two children?
Two that I know of. That was about.
Okay, well, that's good. We'll go with that then. When I like to ask this question, and it's a little bit of a deep one, when it's all said and done, you've made your mark. I mean, in such an incredible way. What would you like people to say about you when we're all gone? What would you like people to reflect on of what you've contributed to the world?
I just hope that making people happy is not such a big thing. Doing what I do is very special, but I'm not going to be doing it forever. And I love the fact that I can make people happy in such by doing such simple things. And I think that's the one thing that I really like, is that I've been given this very, very privileged position, this situation I find myself in. And I think the best thing for me is to share that joy.
I love that. I think that's great. Well, I know that I looked you up, and it looks like you've got some gigs booked here coming up. You got a tour booked. Crossing our fingers on that one, because I know you're coming to San Diego.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, we literally just superimposed 2020 on 2021, and hopefully, if everything goes right, we can do this. We can go out and go on tour and meet with people. Obviously, we would never want anybody to be in a situation where they would feel afraid, or if people got sick. So it has to be right. It has to be right before we go out. And I think that's the only way we can do it.
Right. No. Well, let's hope that happens. And then now your wife, who I went onto her website, she is so beautiful, and I can see so talented, and I can see why you two are, probably just powerhouses together. But doesn't she have an event we're going to be doing hopefully here? I'm hoping to get her on the show maybe on the 15th. Did she mention that to you?
Yes, and that would be great. She's really excited to to talk to you about that. She's a very talented musician and artist in her own right. So I look up to her. She's a big part of what I do and who I've become. That's what happens with a partnership.
Yeah.
So I'm excited that you're going to be talking to her and talking about Big Love and the new record and everything. It'll be great.
Well, I was hoping she mentioned it because I'm thrilled to meet your other half, and I'm so excited to see your art. And I was hoping that I could hit you up if you do that concert in San Diego and you get a little window there. We're just right up the street, so we could do a show here for you if you've got artwork for us. So just to put you on the spot.
That definitely would. The only thing I got involved with Wentworth Gallery, and a lot of what I do is really exclusive with them. Okay. But I'm sure we can work something out. I'd love to just come and meet you.
Yeah, likewise. Well, my friend, what a great interview, and you are such a great blessing to this planet. And I know that your heart is just so giving, and I knew that when I spoke to you on the phone. But so many people have been touched by your music, and I know that your art really, in my opinion, you're just really getting it started. So it's going to be so exciting to see what you bring to the world of art in the next few years. I'm really looking forward to that. So
I appreciate that. And I just want to thank everybody. I see all the comments coming up on my screen, and it's all over the world. There's people coming. It's like, this is incredible. This is so cool. I appreciate it.
Yes, and I do too. And I am just, this is a really big thrill for me, Rick. So thank you so much. Blessings to you and your family.
And to you too.
I'm looking forward to meeting you guys in person at some point.
Fantastic. I really appreciate it.
Okay. See
All
you
right.
soon. Okay,
All
bye.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, folks, that was the one and only Rick Allen. Wow, what a powerhouse in so many different ways. You can just see this guy is the real deal. Not only just an incredible musician, rock star, and artist, but just an incredible person. I mean, I've got the goosies all over my arms here just talking to him, because he comes from this very authentic place of giving back to the world. And I think that we need more people like that in the world. And I know all of you folks that are commenting have been touched by his life. I'm hoping that I can make that concert if it happens in San Diego. And I hope that I'm able to work out something to hopefully have a show for him here. I know he's under contract with another gallery, and I'm a big actual fan of Wentworth. And so if you get a chance and they're in your area, go check them out and go ask for his artwork. This is live streaming Art of the City TV. I hope you enjoyed today. We're going to have his beautiful wife on the 15th. So make sure to mark your calendar, 4 p.m. live streaming Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. on the East Coast. So I appreciate you folks tuning in and hanging in there with us while we're trying to figure out this technology. Be well, have a wonderful week, be safe, and be blessed. Ruth-Ann signing off here, and we'll see you at the next time, Art of the City TV.